First things first, hearts go out to the shooting victims over at the mosque in New Zealand who were just victims of the mass shooting. Second thing, it has nothing to do with anything going on in American politics. Why are we talking about this so much here? Has anyone consulted a map as of late? New Zealand is way somewhere else. And I know what you're going to tell me next is that he praised Donald Trump and Candace Owens, conservatives, in his manifesto. So somehow this means that it's relevant even though it is in a complete and separate other country. Conveniently, one of the first shooting victims is being hailed as a hero and an example of Islam because he greeted the gentleman who was doing the shooting as brother. We were then all told how peaceful Islam is as a result of this one person's actions. Setting aside the fact that, he practices a religion where he's told 91 times to emulate the Prophet Muhammad, and then you examine the life of the Prophet Muhammad, and then you see certain people acting out these activities, and we're told have nothing to do with Islam. But a person who is a citizen of a complete separate country somehow has something to do with Donald Trump and conservatism. Was there some statement by Donald Trump or Candace Owens for this guy to go perpetrate a mass shooting? Of course not. But this is another way to try to send a shot at Donald Trump, so they'll take it. Contrast that with direct statements like terrorize them, which doesn't come from Donald Trump, but from a certain book. And any person following that exact command is not acting on behalf of said religion. Bit hypocritical, if you ask me. I've seen a whopping almost no one talking about the fact that, according to the reports, some Muslim gentlemen returned fire and sent the shooter fleeing. But it doesn't help the gun control narrative if you have to recognize the fact that the shooter was halted by somebody else with a gun. Instead, like one of my Facebook friends posted, we're not trying to talk about this shooting in New Zealand because the gentleman was white and had an AR-15. I haven't finished reading through all the reports, so they may be correct, but I do know that the pictures that I saw from the video, the man was holding a shotgun. This is also part of the reason why we don't try to talk to gun control lobbyists about gun control, because you don't seem to know much about them. Does anybody recall the Democrats ever calling for Christians to be able to have safe worship spaces like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is calling for now? Or the Democrats praising Christians for being peaceful and saying that they were praying for and forgiving Dylan Roof when he shot up their church? Neither do I, but this is rather convenient for them. Did we hear a single condemnation for a certain religion when 2 planes were flown into 2 towers over in New York, and then the people who perpetrated the act started chanting Allahu Akbar or Bismillah? Of course not. We were told that the multiple actions that took place like this had nothing to do with the certain religion. But this guy saying something nice about Donald Trump and Candace Owens somehow has something to do with Donald Trump and conservatives. And even though the gentleman had stated that what he wanted to do was cause a divide in American politics by what he did, we're falling for it. So apparently we're going to allow some shooting that took place by a non-U.S. citizen in a complete and separate country to dictate what we do here in American politics, while at the same time saying that we're bringing in hordes of illegal immigrants, for example, and they're perpetrating all sorts of crimes right here on American soil, and that shouldn't make us look at immigrants any different. Or a certain religious group perpetrating bombings and school shootings and all that sort of thing all across the world on a daily basis, and that shouldn't make us feel any different about that certain group. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it at all. I'm all for keeping keeping guns out of the hands of violent people, criminals, and the mentally disabled. But I really don't see the merit in trying to make my family a soft target when we go places by disarming us when you know that you can't get the guns from the criminals. All of these gun control conversations always end up penalizing law-abiding citizens for things that law-abiding citizens didn't do. The criminal is already aware that murder is illegal, that attempted murder is illegal, that manslaughter is illegal, and they still choose to perpetrate a shooting. But you are under the impression that if you make guns more illegal, that this will somehow deter him from the crime that he already set in his heart to commit.